What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Third and Longhorn. My name's Nick Shuley. I am joined to my right by Mr. Derek Johnson and Mr. Alex Okafor, as well as to my left, Mr. Fozzie Whitaker, Mr. Rob Babers, and Mr. Jeremy Hills. And we are here to discuss the upcoming battle up north, fellas. Yeah. Number 10, Michigan against number 3,
big game, baby.
Texas.
Number 3, what they say? Number 3 in the rankings, number 1 in your hearts.
College game day.
Yeah. Oh, it is college game day.
College game day, and on Fox. Fox
is it's both of them.
Yeah. So all eyes on Texas this week, and Michigan as well. So let's get right into it, okay? We're going into a hostile environment, right? Yep. We last week, we can cover it quickly. We took care of business against Colorado State. And now we got to go up to Michigan and take care of business again. Now let's talk about this. Talk about what are your thoughts heading into Michigan and how this team is going to react to that crowd. And let's kick it to Fozzie first.
Number one, I was thoroughly impressed by the defensive showing against Colorado State. We talked about how much Torrey Horton meant to the Colorado State team, his stats last season, what he was able to do, one of the top receivers in the country with what he did, and the defense absolutely shut him down. Yeah. Absolutely shut him down. And for them to only have around 70 yards passing, considering that they're an air raid offensive team, even though they didn't necessarily play that style of play throughout the course of the game, I thought that was indicative of how dominant the defensive performance was, that it took them away from what their identity truly was. Yeah. And so I want to say that they have to have that whenever you're traveling on the road to a place like the Big House if they expect to have success. Michigan's offense, they sputtered throwing the ball. So now is not the time for them to figure it out, right? Texas defense has to show up in the same way that they did against Colorado State and be very affirmative in the pass game and then ultimately continue to help out in the run game. And I think that's how you got to have your defense whenever you're playing in hostile environments. Your defense got to travel, because we know the environment is going to be loud. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere. We know what's at stake, what's on the line, true litmus test for both teams. And I think Texas ultimately is poised to make a really big statement, especially the way that they're coming off last week's victory.
Yeah, well, let's go to Oak next. I want to talk a little bit about facing this crowd, right? This thing's going to be nuts. It's one of the best environments in all of college football. We know it's going to be loud. It's a lot easier when you're at home to communicate. So how do you, and I'll turn it over to you after this, DJ, how do you prepare to go on the road in a game like this, whether it's signals, communication, just everything that goes into that? What do you guys do?
Well, I think the week of practice has got to be crisp. When you talk about substitutions, when you're talking about communication, I know they just added the headset communication to the quarterback, so I know that's going to help in a situation like this. But more than anything, it's just about getting your reps in practice, making sure you're staying on top of the small stuff, the clean communication, the tagging each other in and out, the hand signals, all that type of stuff. You practice that during the week, and I don't know how you simulate that noise in the week. I know when I was in school, we used to just bring out a big speaker, and they would just play static. Just straight white noise static.
Got a boombox.
Hey, don't get started on these old jokes. But no, that's how it goes. So I'm sure they'll bring out a speaker, have some white noise playing, make it really hard for guys to verbally communicate. So you'll have to look at the signs, have to do hand signals, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. And DJ, for you, I mean, you were helping lead that entire defense. Like, how did you handle that on the road?
Oh, man. Being able to travel, just like Fozzie said, being able to travel with a great defense is actually going to, I guess, stabilize the team. It's actually going to kind of where you can hear a pin drop in the stadium, just so you can, on the road, you got to start fast, and you got to do that when it comes to the defense side of the ball. And we're playing really good. We have the ultimate confidence right now. I think we're good up front. I think we're good at the linebacker spot. We're good right now when it comes in the back end. They will test us as a defense going down there, because they're going to run the ball. Everybody knows that. There's no secret to that. But if we can stop the run, and everybody's going to echo this, if we can stop the run, we can get them into just a one-dimensional passing down, third and long. Then we can play into our hands, and then our game plan will work. But we, just like last year, being able to
go to Alabama early in the year and win the way we did. This is the same exact opportunity. Alabama, probably a better team than Michigan where it was at this time. So we're kind of licking our chops. This is going now. Michigan is actually going to be better than what they were last week. They just have to. And I do have to say, Fresno is not a bad team. For the last 3 years, Fresno won 9, 10 games. The last 3 years each time. So to have a team like that, not giving them that much credit, but I'm just saying Michigan is still figuring it out. So Fresno gave us a little a nod by just saying, hey, y'all still got to figure some stuff out. Y'all not there yet. Texas is early in the year. We haven't peaked yet, but we'll go down there with the ultimate confidence.
So I got a question, and Rod, I want you to answer in on this too, because all three of y'all played different levels of the defense, right? Crowd noise offensively affects us way worse, right? Because they cheering, especially if it's backed up, or even if we're in goal line, we're hearing it from all over the place. Communication is even more critical. But from a defensive perspective, how does the crowd noise affect you all's communication? Do you hear it as much, or is it not
on the road? On the road, we're good. Yeah. On the road, we're good.
It's more.
So it's harder at home because
it's harder at home.
Everybody's cheering.
Now, when there's no noise, the offense is really communicating, and they're calling their checks. They're operating at a high level, so that hurts us because they don't have any any interference, right?
No disruption.
Right. Yeah. I'll also say this too. More of the communication defensively is, whenever a call comes in, we all know our responsibilities. Right. The communication comes with checks.
Yep.
That's where you kind of stuff. Communication gets lost with the checks. Like, I need you to hit this gap or something like that.
We want to modify something.
Yeah, you got to.
Those little tweaks. I agree with you on that.
When I look at this game, though, it's football, right? It's football on the road, right? We got a mature team. This isn't like DJ. I think you brought up a great point. Like, if you went into Bama and you played in that environment, have y'all been to that stadium? Okay.
Right.
I wouldn't tell you to go spend no time there if you don't have to. But if life for whatever reason is unfortunate and you got to go down there and spend any time, so just take in that stadium, right? Okay. It's amazing. I give them their props. Respect to the big house and everything and all the legendary games and moments that it's brought to college football, but this ain't that. At the end of the day, punch them in the mouth early and let's see what happens. Because I was not impressed with the product that Michigan put on the field last week, and I don't think they were impressed to Michigan standards, if we're being honest. Like scoreboard is most of the time indicative of what's going on the field, and that 10-3 going into halftime is exactly what that game was. It was Fresno lining it down and playing them face to face, toe to toe. And then, some big plays happen, and that score started to get out of hand a little bit. Score actually looked better than what the game was.
That was 16-10 with I think
that's why the writers. I think that's why the writers and the voters. That's why you win a game like that and you drop back a spot in the rankings, right? Because that was not what was expected, and I don't think that was expected from anybody's standpoint, right? So I think we're going to get a more focused, more intentional, better version of Michigan, but I'm very skeptical to believe that the best Michigan beats the best Texas. It's hard for me to see it, right? So, rely on the crowd noise, and that's what the Aggies do, right? Rely on that crowd noise all you want, but at the end of the day,
you can quiet them.
Football players win football games.
And I want to add a point to that as well. This is a pivotal point for Michigan. Like Jay Hills is saying, I don't think who they played, who they were last week on tape is not who they want to be. Now, as a Texas team, we got to make that who they are.
Yeah.
Whoever they whatever they put on tape last week, that's who you are. We got to make sure that is who you are. Yeah. As opposed to them coming in and gaining some confidence from us, beating a Texas team. That could jumpstart their season. So it's a pivotal moment for Michigan, and how Texas responds to this is really going to dictate Michigan's season. And, I mean, we already have our own goals, so it's next man up for us.
Just like what we see in that, Florida State. That's what I was getting. Like, you look at what they did against Georgia Tech, and you look at what Georgia Tech was able to do in that second half of that game when they decided, hey, guess what? We want to run the football.
Boston College too.
And then what did Boston College?
BC did it too.
What did BC decide?
They said, "Oh, you can't
middle
stop counting."
Middle of the third quarter, they said, hey, guess what? We had this play called counter. We're going to run it downhill, right? So all of a sudden, it's like somebody pulled a string. and you started to see it unravel. You started to see Florida State on the sideline not looking the same. You started to see like some head cases come out a little bit. My man got a unsportsmanlike on just a shove that was probably more acting on Boston College side than it was. But that just let you know how out of it, how defeated you are already. The game's still going on and you lost already, right? And I look at Michigan and I'm saying, yeah, it's what Oaks said. Like, we're gonna make what you put on tape who you are. We're gonna make sure that's who you are. We're gonna show you who we are.
Yeah, I wanna echo that. Yeah, that's so true. Michigan right now throughout the week, because they didn't have the showing that they wanted to, that blowout they wanted to, and Texas did. They have to start fast. They got to show people, hey, you know, we are better than this. So I'm telling you, they're gonna run the ball early and often. They get in 12 and 13 personnel, and they're gonna bring in Alex Orji, the other Wildcat quarterback. They're gonna throw a little wrinkles in there because that's always a wild card to throw a Wildcat in there to help out the running game. But they're gonna run the ball. They're gonna stay with it. They're gonna try to go 9, 10, 11 play drive. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But they want long drives, and then hopefully they can come up with a big play when it comes to Texas.
Yeah, because the way that they're gonna win is they're gonna lead on their defense.
Yeah,
they got a top 5, top 10 defense.
Yeah.
They got
how do they affect? Sorry to cut you off. How do they affect Quinn? How?
Oh man. Well,
D-line.
D-line.
D-line don't play no game.
You got basically, I tell Longhorn fans, it's a simplified form. You have the equivalent of Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy on the
other side.
That's basically what you're dealing with.
That's high praise.
And exactly.
That's very high.
Look, man,
you're dealing with.
you tell him a joke, you ain't gonna tell him a lie.
Yeah, no.
That's the facts, man.
I don't know if that's a fact.
NFL.
I got to see with my own eyes.
Yeah, I mean they're solid.
And they got an NFL edge player, and
second round?
they got the best cornerback in college football in Will Johnson. So they're gonna be better than the Texas defense was last year, presented in terms of being able to stop the run with just that rock of Gibraltar, or two of those at the centerpiece of their defense. Here's the key for Quinn. The key for Quinn is how do you handle pressure? Because I'm just gonna be real with you. I don't know if we're gonna go up there and be able to run the ball the way we want to.
Fair.
Right, let's be realistic.
Can you run it efficiently though? You don't have to.
You can still have a symbolic running game, but in terms of going up there just pounding the rock, and being able to.
No, we don't have that.
You just gotta stay on schedule.
I don't know if you're gonna do that against them, because honestly, against Colorado State, I don't know if you were able to impose your will with the run game.
Okay.
Right? I counted 7 plays where you had 2 yards or fewer in rushes by the running backs. So I don't know if you're gonna do that, but that's fine. You can still win games without that. The question will be, when Texas decides they need to throw the football, what kind of passing game is it going to be, right? Because if it's a passing game where Quinn's got to hold on to the ball a bit, you know what Quinn's time to throw in the Colorado State game was? 2.1 seconds.
We need to duplicate that.
2.16 seconds.
I love that.
You ain't
Love
gonna
it.
get that. You good.
Love it.
But you ain't gonna get there.
2.16 seconds. You ain't gonna get that. Nobody
not at all.
gonna get that quick, right? And so he's on time. When Quinn is on time and on schedule, dude, I don't know if there's a better quarterback in the country. In terms of short intermediate throws, there were 2 pressures in that game forced by Colorado State. Just 2 of them. Y'all know the plays? Y'all probably do. It was the sack and the pick.
Yep.
Wow. And guess what? On that pick, 2 people was open. I mean, he just made the wrong decision on that.
But to Rod's point though, and I want to just throw something in there though. Like one thing that I think we do really well, Sark does from a schematic standpoint, is the short passing game is an extension of the run game.
Correct.
You got athletes. I think when I look at Texas's, I almost think of like positionless football. Yeah. And then Gunnar Ham. Right? It's like you got positionless.
So get a hold like that.
And then Gunnar Ham. I mean, at the end of the day,
Sorry, Gunnar. Sorry.
No.
Jeremy Hills.
Wait, Fozzie. Right, that wasn't a shot. I can tell we got defense up here. That's a compliment. That is a true tight end. That is 6'5", 240 that can run like a gazelle and can make guys miss and run through you. That's a true tight end. And he efficient in the run game, at least from what I've seen so far. Right? I'm saying positionless ball because you got copy paste from everybody else.
And wide receivers,
number 11, number 2, number 7. You look at the athletes that we have on that offensive side of the ball, and I think Sark's done a dang good job of recruiting and jumping in the portal and getting the same guy.
Man.
He's got the same guy. So what that allows us to do is scheme him. Scheme him. Will Johnson, you want to be all world? Good luck being all world over there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
By the way, I'm gonna stop you there. 8 targets, Well, did you see this? 8 targets, 5 catches, 77 yards for Fresno State against Will Johnson.
Like I said,
and everyone forgot about it because he had the pick six.
Yep.
Because of the splash.
So,
That's what
and
matters.
he's-
It's DB.
and look, and I'm not,
when you got beat, if you make
I'm
the
not
play.
minimizing Will
I was
Johnson,
about to
but
say-
Fresno State went at him.
I was about to say, like what they say, yesterday's price is not today's price.
Uh-huh.
Listen, that boy can still play ball.
Don't make
I agree.
a living out of going at Will Johnson.
I agree.
That shouldn't be the game plan.
I agree.
But what I'm saying is that like I think the run game when we always look at it, we look at it as such a pivotal piece of winning football games, and I believe that. But I think that there's been cases where we've seen the pass game open up the run game.
It should.
Like if we can get them to have to
That's
back
so
those
true.
safeties
That's
up,
true.
if we get those linebackers almost ready to drop into, and then we hit them with that counter, or we hit them with something out the gun, we hit them with a draw, we hit them with a screen, we make them start thinking, and then we let our speed do what speed does on football fields. I'm like, hey man, like keep number 3 clean, and all I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if this one is not that close.
Me too.
I'm with you.
I'm
on
with
that.
you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I like that.
Well,
with you.
I got a question for you guys, and Rod, I want to point this one at you because you were a vocal guy on the field, and this Michigan team has 5 returning starters, and so it's a very inexperienced
NFL
team.
guys too.
Yeah.
That's gonna
I
be on
did
Sundays.
not know that.
Yeah, it's a crazy.
No, wait,
although
the team or like defense off, like
a total 5
They have
returning
5
on offense.
returning
They
Total.
lost everything on offense.
Yeah,
entire
but
offense.
the issue is they're a lot like us, where they'd run a couple, like on defense they'd run 2 lines, or they'd run a lot deeper. So there's a lot of guys who played, but as far as that, there's only 5 starters. So when you play a team like that, this Texas team's got experience, right?
Yep.
Like we have 5 returners just on offense,
Right.
And so how do you handle that situation? Does it change anything? Do you try to come after them early, or what does that affect?
You know, I think it's just confidence. I mean,
Yeah.
even Sark talked about it. You got 40-some guys that went to Bama in Tuscaloosa and beat Nick Saban. I think the confidence, we all are talking about the environment, and it is. That's a big game. Michigan's a power. I mean, that's a blue blood program.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be intimidated. They just went to Tuscaloosa and beat Nick Saban in Alabama. Like, they're not going to be intimidated by this environment.
Yeah.
They're not, and I think they're also watching film like us, and I think they're growing confident. And listen, Michigan will get better from game 1 to game 2. Everybody does. Biggest leap, right? You take the entire season, they say it's from game 1 to game 2. Texas is also about to get better.
one
They
thing I
about to take a leap
want to
number
point
1
out.
too.
One thing I want to point out. Last week before the Colorado State pregame show, I told you guys we were talking about how do we keep the running backs healthy, right? And I specifically said I think it's going to be a lot on them. I think it's going to be how they handle this season, how they handle the workload, and how they handle themselves as a pro. Like thinking that it's almost like a rookie year. One of the best things that I heard over the last couple of days was Sark was speaking on post game, and he said he went in there to talk to some guys, and they said we got it, and all of the guys were already doing recovery. They were already in that training room, getting in that cold tub. I'm like, hey man, when you get team leadership that meets a talent that got experience and they focus, something special can happen if you can stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I'm looking at all of the ingredients and I'm saying it's there,
Yep.
all of the ingredients are there for this to be a special team. And so, I mean, but Michigan is the next one on the schedule, but I'm not looking at this as the game of the week, the big woo. Texas goes and wins this game. I want us to celebrate because it's hard to win, but get back to it.
But I think we're going about it, and that's so true. We're going about it the right way. The team is going about it the right way.
Yeah.
Sark is doing the right thing. Like his mindset is so like Texas tough. It's not we're doing good and Michigan is kind of shaky. We're gonna go up here and like it's like no. He knows that nobody's entitled. Like that's the one thing about football. Nobody feels sorry for you or whatnot. Michigan's trying to figure it out. Not this week for us.
Right.
Not this week.
Right.
We're gonna go down there and handle up and play to a standard. And if they can't hold up to that standard, it is what it is. In their spot. So
That's
that's
going to be the big. I'll say this: that's going to be the big question mark that has to get answered.
Yeah.
Because the one, I would say, red flag that I've seen from Texas teams of recent is they play to the level of the competition, which we didn't
happened
do in
last
the
year.
opening week.
Yeah.
We didn't do that in the opening
Correct.
week, so I was very happy to see that.
Last
But
year,
it's
few
been
times,
tough
yeah.
to see us play U of H, and we had them looking like Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, that's tough to watch at times, and I can imagine it's even tougher to experience. But it will be very interesting because I believe right now, if I just take if I take the logos off the helmets and I just watch tape, if everybody had on a blank jersey and you just watch tape, I'll say the team from Texas has a higher standard, more talent, and more depth than the team from Michigan. I would just say that. So what I want to see is that play itself out on film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and then I want to kick it to Fozzie because I got one last question before we flip to defense. But it blew my mind that this is the second ever meeting between Texas and Michigan. Ever.
Right.
And we played once before, and it was in a bowl game. So the first time in a regular season that they have ever met.
That's crazy.
Is that
Really?
That's exactly-
Vince's
the 04 Rose Bowl.
Yep,
Right.
that was
the first time
the
ever?
first time we'd ever played Michigan. And those two storied programs, all the years they've been around, and does that not blow your mind? I was like, I kept
all-time
researching deeper, being like, this has got to be wrong.
Sure, we'd
It's
love
gotta
to be
wrong.
2-0.
Yeah.
We only see them twice. Sure, we'd love to be 2-0.
So I'm
real quick, I kind of
yeah.
want to stay offensively real quick for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
5 more minutes. I kind of want to
let's
talk about
do it.
this run game real quick. And am I in the wrong for being hesitant with all this throwing to open up the run talk? Like, am I out of line?
You don't
for,
believe that's a thing?
I think it's a thing. I just don't want us to lose the
don't
running
want
game
major
throughout the
in
season.
that.
Like, I don't want us to lose our pace, our tempo.
I think
like,
it's setting the tone. I think you go look at the early game pass rate for Texas in the Colorado State game. You're around 58% the first 5 drives. It evens out throughout the game. I think that. So overall, I think it'll be very balanced. Sark's he's a freak about moderation and balance and all those things. But I think early in the game, you want to get the offense in a rhythm. You want to get Quinn confident. You want to get this offense moving. You want to send a message to the opponent early on. It's got to be with the passing game.
And
that's where your strength is. If you're a defender right now, you're stressing about the Texas passing attack.
Absolutely.
How you defend all those wide
How do you-
receivers.
how?
Exactly, right? But the running game, I think, is a little bit easier to defend for Texas. Yes, so I think I agree with my man Hills here. I think the identity of the offense is your strength, and that's the passing game, and you complement it with the run
I'm with
game.
you. Well, here's my only pushback before I let Jay respond. It's like, we didn't really establish it during Colorado State. So if we're going to go another week without establishing it, I'm afraid we're just going to lose it throughout the whole
I
season.
think that's your season. I
Like,
think when you lose your starting running back initially, this is the price you pay. And you have to adjust on the fly. Life and football are constant struggles deciding between what you want to be and what you need to be. We all have made that decision, right? And what you want to be was Cedric Baxter, power running
Rod.
game.
Hold on, Rod. Say that again, bro. Say that again.
I learned it from Ray Horton in the league. I'll give him credit. But life and football are constant struggles deciding between what you want to be and what you need to be in order to survive. And what Texas needs to be right now is a pass-first team. I know what they want to be. Cedric Baxter bashing in the inside, Jaden Blue on the perimeter, and then we chunking it out there to the guys in one-on-one. You lost your starting running back. You can't be that right now. And you lost another back in that running back room.
Yeah.
I just think right now the reality is passing game, dude. That's your strength. That's right.
And the reason I'm not upset about it is because it seems to get 3 going.
Right.
And I think
It
that this
does.
whole
And we need
this
3
whole-
going. We need
this
3
whole operation moves the way 3 moves.
And they didn't have a deep ball, by the way. They didn't have a lot of deep balls, if any, in that Colorado State game. So we still have another layer of the passing game.
So that's what I was just about to say.
Quick game.
So Oak may be struggling with that, saying, "Hey, when we talking about passing, we ain't talking about everybody down the field, way down the field. It's short passing. That's the part of that long running that y'all talking about."
But remember, establishing the run game doesn't necessarily mean every running back got to average 7 yards a pop, or Texas has to rush for 200 yards a game. Like that
schedule.
doesn't have to look like that. It's all about timing and keeping it in manageable situations. First down, you pick up 4. Like, it don't look sexy, but now you 2nd and 6 instead of 2nd and 9.
Whole playbook.
And then for you as a defender, you getting 3rd and 9.
Yeah.
You like, I'm licking my chop.
Yeah.
So as long as you're staying on pace, on schedule, Sark loves being on schedule because now the whole playbook is open. You don't know what Isaiah Bond finna run on 3rd and 2.
No.
You don't know if it's gonna be a handoff. You don't know if it's gonna be a run. You don't know if it's gonna be a play action overhead. Because Sark go for it on 4th down.
Right, and I'm with you on that. Like, as long as we stay on schedule, I'm happy. I'm afraid of going 3 and out, and our drive is 40 seconds
Third and
long.
long.
Yeah.
That may happen.
the
That may
only
happen.
thing,
That's
like,
why you gotta win.
Football.
If you're gonna run, you better win first down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, and I think that's why sometimes Sark will go early down passing and go to screen,
to a screen.
and go a quick pass there just to make sure he's like, I'm gonna get my 4 yards.
And then
And then it's
Yeah, then I'll pass. Then I'll hand it off on 2nd and see what.
One piece that we don't talk about enough, I believe, in just offensive football is you don't want your lineman pass setting all game. I want them to be able to fire off every now and again,
That's
just knowing that we
psychological.
running power, and I want the two of y'all to put him on his back.
Yeah.
You know, like every now and again, you need that offensive line just to be able to fire off, right? So when you think of like that balance between them, it's not just yards per play type thing. It's a mentality that comes with it as well.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I didn't see the mentality in the first game,
No.
so I'm just a
I
little.
agree with you.
I'm just like, I don't know if we can afford just to forego this Michigan game without establishing that mentality.
Well, and my gut's like yours, Oak, that I was like, I'm a little bit worried about the run game, but then at the end of the day, I talked myself out of it because this interior part of our line and 4 out of 5 of the guys, these guys had to play against Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy all last year. So, these Michigan guys are really, really good, but they're not at that level yet. And so I've started to feel better when I'm like, this is the line that's saying they want to be the best in college football. What better opportunity than to prove it than right
Very
here?
true. You know, I do worry that because Sark's got a little bbit of a stubborn streak in him, and to Alex's point, that could be Sark saying, you know what? I want to prove because remember he got a little bit offended when people started asking about the power running game. He was like, "We're gonna run the ball in between the tackles. Y'all could ask it about it, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna run it." So I wonder if he's gonna go up there a little bit and like, I want to see if we can do it too.
Right.
If we can do it against Michigan, we can do it against
Do it
Georgia.
against
We can
anybody.
do it against and do it against anybody
Because you're going
in
to
the
need it
country.
against Georgia. If you don't
100%.
establish it
Yeah.
I
now,
got
when do
I
you
know,
establish
I see where
it?
you're going.
No,
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you about that.
By the way, I don't know, man. I think Georgia might be losing some of their superpowers on offense. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's another
We'll get there. We got
And I
plenty of time.
specifically said on offense, by the way. Defense still.
Well,
Jesus.
Michigan, I don't know if they ever had any powers
Hey,
on offense.
yeah.
Whatever they had is gone. They ain't got nothing. Right?
But man, I'm looking at that though, and I'm thinking it through. 5 returning starters, brand new head coach, allegations out the wazoo.
Oh man,
Distractions
Chaos
everywhere.
Didn't start off the way that you want to start off.
Yeah.
Man, I'm looking at what could potentially be a fractured unit.
Right. If we get out early on them, this could be their season.
Which I would hate because I want us to handle them and then I want them to do well after that. It always makes our resume look better. But I agree with you.
Sharon was a good coach.
I agree with you. Like and I keep comparing it to Florida State, right? Even though I know they're sitting at 0-2, that's a different thing.
Oh.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they got coaching changes in the middle of the season over there. Right? That team look like they are checked out. You know what I mean? So I'm saying this now. Let's see if I'm saying this a week from now. But I'm very interested to see what Michigan looks like when they're being challenged without anybody that's really been in those shoes of being challenged, right? Like our leader's gone at every meaningful spot. Head coach, quarterback. The heart of the team was the running back in Quorum last year. Like every meaningful spot that had like leadership attached to it is gone. And we're not performing the way that we want to, and we got Texas coming here. Like, what's that look like for them? They got questions to answer too, just like we got questions to answer. They got questions to answer
They
too.
got more.
Is there a chance you look at it kind of like what you brought up, where on the schedule you see Texas coming into the crib? Do they overlook Fresno State? Is there an opportunity that
That's
that
fair.
may be the message?
I always
That
say
was
that, but
explained.
then DJ said something a while back, and it's been stuck with me. He said, "You don't overlook game one. You've been
Can't- I mean, you
can't.
working. You've been working for 7-8 months to get to game one."
Just for this
Like
zone.
we showing.
So if this would have been
Just
like
this
middle of the season,
That's
I would
right.
run with that.
Right.
I would run with that. But it's,
agree.
when I thought about it and I put myself back in those playing shoes, which wasn't that long ago, when I really thought about it, when I
Compliments himself in the middle of the
Everyone talked
sentence.
about 3 decades ago.
when I really thought about it, I thought to myself, "No, you right.
Yeah.
All you talk about during fall camp
one.
is
Hitting
what you
somebody
gonna do
else.
on the game. Like you know what I
Yeah.
mean. All you talking about is game one. So I don't believe they overlooked Fresno State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best. I would say, to my opinion, for Michigan, the best overall outlook would be that they match up well against Texas somehow.
Yeah.
With with that D line, with the Will Johnson, they just kind of match up well with the offense. And Texas can't move the ball the way they want to. And Wink Martindale's a better
he a
defensive
dog,
mind than we get credit for.
Is that who their coordinator is? Wink?
Yeah.
Oh, Wink.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
no, they doing their thing.
Yes, sir.
The Blitz happiest defensive coordinator in college or pro in the last 6-7
That's
years
fair.
in the league.
Yes,
That's
Easy.
fair.
Not even
But
close.
what you got to answer for, and I'm having a hard time seeing it. What you have to answer for is making the decision. Am I going to run man and lock somebody down and tell everybody else they got to hold up?
Can't do
Am I going to run zone and give these guys, these fast, athletic, agile guys, the opportunity to catch balls without people putting their hands on them in space? Like, what am I going to give up?
Pressure.
I have to win at pressure. I have to win
That's where it's at.
and I have to win at pressure. And if I look, I could. The thing about it is, like, let's say 60. We got 60 passing attempts, and they win 40 of them. Y'all know, like I know, you bring in that pressure and you miss.
I know, that's what I was saying. I don't know about pressure.
It's gonna
Well, I mean,
cost
pressure
you.
within 4 or 5.
Oh,
within
got
4 or 5.
you.
Okay,
You don't have to always blitz.
I was thinking additional body.
You don't have to
No,
always
it's
think
not
additional
generating
body.
pressure.
He will.
I'm talking about 4 or 5.
He will go
like,
zero blitz
Yeah,
pressure.
yeah.
Like he will. I believe
Yeah.
if with the Giants, I
Especially
believe
getting in the red zone.
Yeah, they had one of the highest rates of zero coverage in the league. So he'll go zero pressure, but he also is very sophisticated. He'll go with simulated pressures. He'll just go with pressure packages where he's rushing 3 guys.
No,
but it looks like a radar front with 7 guys.
UW. We seen it against Washington in the national championship.
Yeah.
Man, they look like they were looking pedestrian. They look pedestrian, and on the back end they held up.
Exactly.
You know, but like we said, 5 returning starters.
Yeah.
You know, it ain't no. It's no rollover minutes in football, baby.
But I was
just because Fozzie did it, don't mean I get credit. Like,
That's true.
So
you can't let those D tackles. You can't let them, in my
Dictate the
opinion.
game.
Yes, if you let them impose their will, then we're gonna have problems. That's right at the point of attack.
I agree.
That's right in the quarterback's face. That can disrupt everything. But if you can control them somewhat, and that means bootlegs and waggles, and moving their pocket,
Play
and
action.
screen,
Oh, yeah.
make them run east and west.
Yeah.
Like
which is what we did last week.
yes,
Which
and
is what we
then
did
go up
last
tempo on them.
week.
Make them big boys roll a bit. If you do that, I think you got a real good chance of kind of you saying winning by double digits or commanding.
That's exactly.
All right. Well, let's flip it to the other side of the ball. I think we've got a very different scenario than last week, right? Like we were prepping, worried about the defensive backs getting ready for that game, and
They answered that.
and they answered it, and they
answered
showed
that.
Say
out.
what y'all say?
Hey,
Yeah,
they
showed
They
out.
were my defensive MVP.
Yeah.
I gotta.
They
They
good
get
out
they
there.
pay.
But
Yeah,
what-
no
this
doubt.
this Michigan team is obviously a very different type of offense, and I think we're going to see quite a bit of a different attack. So I want to kick it to you first, Rod. Like, how do we flip that? How does our defense handle this?
Honestly, I think I like what Fozzie kind of led off with, how they took away the strength from Colorado State and let them have some yards on the ground. If you can force an opponent to beat you left hand, that's the old Belichickian model, right? I'm going to take away your strength. Their strength is the running game. If we can't trust Janae Barron and Malik Muhammad and Derek Williams, those got to hold up in some man-to-man situations while we stack that box and take away the run on early downs, then honestly we got a lot bigger problems than we got a lot bigger problems to address anyway. And I want to know that now early in the season. I think they can hold up. I think they will hold up.
Yep.
And I would stack that box and take away the run. In fact, and force, was it Davis Warren? Is his
Davis
name?
Warren, yeah,
Alex Orji.
and Alex Orji.
Listen, if they want to beat me with their arms and from the pocket on 2nd and long and 3rd and long, I'll take that all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. You cannot allow Michigan to win first down. You got to win first down against Michigan. You do that, half their playbook shrinks. Their playbook shrinks, cut in half automatically.
Yeah.
And I think what will help them on defense, Texas defense, is when they're in this 12 and 13 personnel, maybe taking another corner off, maybe taking Gavin off, putting McDonough out there, maybe
Go
putting,
base.
get
Go 40
three,
personnel.
get three
linebackers.
safety, three linebackers and 3 safeties. Put them in there so you can really hold up on the run, especially on 13 personnel. I mean, you only got 1 receiver out there, so yeah, this is no fair dodging and in the phone booth and Texas is, man, I like us. I like us. I really do.
Yeah, I'm the same way. After watching last week's game, I was a little concerned coming into Michigan because I felt like we had some leaky yardage on the defensive line. After rewatching it, I'm not as concerned because we weren't getting manhandled. Like, we weren't getting blown off the ball. That's a red flag. Yeah. We were just missing with our hands. Feet were a little slow. Yeah. Stuff you just need to clean up, just getting the rust off. And that's not as concerning to me. Plus, I know DJ can speak on this. I know PK is gonna have them boys ready this week. Like for what I feel like everybody felt like the D-line didn't have their best day in the run department, and obviously PK knows this, so they're gonna get them right during the week. I'm not as concerned. That's my take. I like Texas too.
That's my take. They kept the linebackers clean.
Yeah, they did.
Linebackers made plays.
Yeah.
Lafau had a great game, I thought. Bender had that hell of a tackle.
man.
Slashing through.
Right.
Anthony Hill that guy's going to be all
that's
SEC
him.
caliber defender. So the linebackers played well. So to your point, maybe they weren't penetrating enough and making plays in the backfield, but they kept the linebackers clean so they could flow to the football.
And I'll say this too. I thought they did an excellent job in changing up the fronts. Like the way, like between the 4-man and the 3-man and the 5-man fronts. I want some more of that. Like I saw so many different fronts. Like 3-man fronts that looked like 4-man fronts. 5-man fronts with Colin Simmons and Trey Moore on the outside. Like that's what I like to see.
And I was about to
he
say,
put that on tape.
Oh, you know that's so intentional.
Yeah,
You know
he
that's
put
so
all that on
intentional.
tape.
Like,
Man, you got to do it.
I want to give, in the law world, they call that discovery.
Exactly.
It's like, I want to give you more that you got to go sift through. I know what I'm about to run.
Now you
Right.
taking away
I want
what
to give y'all
you
more
waste
that y'all
time.
got. Yeah, you got to waste time looking at that.
chasing
We're
ghosts.
not doing none of that. Like, and we got the bodies to do it. We got the bodies to do it.
And when
That's
you
great.
when
I like
you
that.
run multiple fronts like that for the linebackers, for guys like myself, that actually helps guys like myself out to stay free, because linemen they want you to line up. Hey, line up in the A gap, line up in the B, just line up there, and we're gonna come off every single play. But if you can move around and stem and do certain stuff, or maybe get some pirates in there and get to moving, it makes it harder for them. And guys like Anthony Hill and Bender and these Mo Blackwell, these guys are running free, and and our linebackers can run. All of them can run. So this is
Even Bender looks faster.
yeah.
He looks
Great
great.
close on that.
You didn't see his race against the reporter lady?
That dude's all over the place, man. No, but I agree with 100%. I think ultimately for that linebacker, because you're going to have to play a third or a fourth linebacker. You're going to base probably
that
half the
time.
time in this game.
Yeah.
That is just, that base means 4 DBs on the field. So 2 corners and 2 safeties. And you have the versatility now in the defense to run a lot of those really creative fronts and a lot of those really creative coverages. So to your point, I think it's the Johnny Nansen influence, Oak. I think we're dealing with
I was
Johnny
just gonna
Nansen
bring that
coming
up.
in. He's
The
like,
combination of them.
yeah,
Man,
it's a creative collaboration.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yep.
slight my man PK because he's killing it. I think it's a creative collaboration to Fozzie's point.
Well, I've always been so excited about our offensive side of the ball, right? And I've always been a fan of Kwiatkowski, but I didn't feel like our defense felt as progressive as our offense. And after watching last game, and who knows, it's one game, right? But watching those two together and whatever they've put together, I was impressed. I was like, they're throwing some different stuff out there.
The first game.
And and I love it.
You
And-
talked about
and-
that on Twitter
And we have
about
the
that.
personnel. We have the
First
personnel to
game.
do it too.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That's the like, it's a lot of times you don't get an opportunity to see everything a coordinator can throw at you because he don't have the bodies.
They don't have the guys. Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
now we have the talent and the depth and the experience to just throw the kitchen sink what I believe will be week after week after week.
I think so.
You know, we'll have our base sets that we'll see every single week, but a lot of this you're gonna see based on who we playing. And we have the versatility to do that. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what they're gonna do because Michigan is not tough to understand, man.
Nope.
It's not tough to understand.
Nope.
You stop number 7, you win that game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Listen, Johnny Nansen was the most multiple defensive mind in college football, at least in the Power 5 when he was at Arizona. They ran every damn thing week to week. I wouldn't be surprised. You see bare front in this game. You see, right? You just see a lot of different. Hell, he ran a 5 down.
Goal line package.
Yeah, like a penny 5 down
Yeah.
package. I think it's Oregon State when he was at Arizona.
Think about what he did in UW. The
Yep.
Oh,
UW
yeah, dude, they had like a 7 DB
the
package.
UW game was so mind blowing because he just said, "Hey, y'all press and don't let them score. We just gonna keep coming after this."
UW did not look like UW
Michael
that game.
Penix, I never seen him hit the ground so much.
Yeah.
I never seen him hit the ground that many times, and we seen it impact him, we seen it affect him. So I'm interested to see what he decides because he got all he can go with whatever he want to go with. So it'll be interesting to see what he decides. But it is comforting knowing that whatever he decides, he has additional options in case that's not working.
And last point on that, I want to see how he is going to rotate those bodies. Like, we didn't really get to see too much of Ethan Burke. He got his reps last game, but we didn't really get to see too much of him. Is this a game where we kind of bring him
We
out
need him more
and
now.
get him to set the edge, like a firm edge? Like, we'll get to rotate those bodies and see how PK and Nance kind of do those matchups a little
That's
bit.
a good point. And what do you think about the NASCAR package they broke out?
That thing was
Long,
sweet with Colin
bumping
Simmons as
Van
the
Surreal
Joker.
inside.
Ooh, it was sweet. Yeah.
That was nice.
You see certain stuff, and I'm just like, man, Colorado State don't deserve it.
They didn't
Don't
prepare for
worry,
this.
Jeff Levy will see it from Mississippi State. You'll see it, Jeff. Hey, Jeff, you'll see that. You got that NASCAR football.
Don't do this to them. Don't do this. They ready to go home.
You know exactly. Jacob was like, damn.
Yeah.
He didn't sign up for that.
Nice play call for that one.
Well, before we get to the I want to get to game predictions, but before we do that, I'll handle the special teams prediction. I think the matchup no one is talking about is Bert Auburn versus Dominic Zavada.
Yeah.
And Dominic Zavada actually, I studied this.
research.
There, Zavada was 3 for 3, and he had a 55-yarder. He's a transfer, came in.
Okay.
So Bert's got someone calling his name out. So I know we're about to see a big performance from Bert. Hopefully we don't have to. Hopefully he's got a lot of extra points and getting some work in
I'll
there.
take a game
But-
winner from Bird any day.
but that's my kicker preview. I'll continue to do this probably throughout the year. That's a very important part of the
I had
show.
no notes on kickers at all.
If we're ever going to get sponsorship, it's coming from that segment right there. So trust me. That's my man Bert. All right, well, let's go down the line. Hills, you're getting it first. So what's your game prediction? I need a score.
Oh, snap.
Get bold.
Yeah, I am going.
What's the spread, first of all?
Spread
is
7.5.
now.
It opened up at 6. I want to say.
Well, originally it was at 3.5.
And I think
Okay.
And this week it opened up at 6.
This week it
after
opened up at
they
6.
Beat, after Texas beat the
When I look at this, I wouldn't be surprised seeing a 31-17.
Oh, nice.
30.
That's the score
I
had
just
in my head.
I don't see.
I
I don't.
close to that.
like that.
I just don't like. I can see it. I can see us putting one in the end zone and it puts it away.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And then at that point, Michigan got to throw it to try to win it, and that's when the game's over, right? So it's like I could see a 31-17, like a 24-17. Texas goes down, score. It's 31-17. It's too much pressure. You can't give the ball to 7 no more.
We're on
Game over.
similar wavelengths. I think Fozzie was close to that too, but I want to hear Rod's first.
No, I'll tell you why that matters. Because, and I've talked about this before with Sark teams. Sark's teams, they make runs like NBA teams. Like think about that Colorado State game. Like the game is basically a tight game until like the
That
end
second
of
quarter.
the
It was 10-0.
end of the
End of the
second.
second.
About like 5 or 6
We
minutes
always
in the
forget
second
that. We always forget that.
Then they score, and then Janae gets the pick, and then they score a touchdown again, and then the Size Bowl and punt return, and they score that touchdown. It's like,
Right.
damn.
And
what?
We
They
didn't
ran
we
up 3
didn't have
scores in
up
3
30.
minutes.
It happened to Bama too. Like it happens all. Remember that Wyoming game last year
Yeah.
was tight, and it was like 21 points in like 5 minutes. So that's why you could be onto something. Because when Texas goes on a run, they're like the Golden State Warriors in their prime, dude. It's like everybody contributes. I'm a defensive guy, so I respect defense. So I'm gonna give Michigan a little bit more love than that. So I'm gonna say Texas wins 27 because Bert Auburn's gonna put in some work there. I'm gonna go 27 to 17.
Okay.
So I'll say I'll say they put some points on the board.
Yeah, I'm switching it up. I go back to the Notre Dame Texas A&M game, and I know neither one of these two teams are that. But I looked at Texas A&M. It's a little bit similar to what Michigan can look like against a good defense.
Anemic. Like is that?
Well done.
If you don't have a passing game, and then everything funnels into the run, and if you got a stout enough defense that can stop the run,
Be short game.
it's like it stifles them. So for me, I'm looking at a 26-13. I'm gonna give Bert Auburn a little bit of love because maybe red zone woes
That's fair.
could kick in. So I'll give Bert Auburn a little love, but I'll go 26-13.
Okay.
I like
Man,
that.
I was at. You kind of talked me down from my 31, but I'm gonna go to 27-13. I think our defense is gonna come to play too. So
Yeah,
DJ.
I would go bold like Jay Hills, but I'm a little more safer. I think that's going to be the score. I really do.
Jay, you never hear that.
That's
on the
going to
group
be the
text.
second.
Hey,
do that.
So you losing is about the group text.
Oh no! For our sake.
I'm gonna play the lottery. Y'all better hope I don't hit. You ain't seeing me no.
I'm out of here.
But you know what? I would say 20. My first mind is saying 27 Texas. I say 20 Michigan. I say 20 Michigan. Yep. I say 20.
We win, we don't cover, huh?
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think we score as much, but also I don't think we give up as much.
Okay.
I'm going 24-10. I think it's going to be close, and then kind of like Jay, we open it up towards the back end. So,
talk to me. Obviously, you don't believe in a offense,
like
right?
14-10.
Yeah.
So
What breaks the game open?
I'm thinking
What
like
breaks the
a.
game open in? What is? What is
It's hard to call.
the damn breaks? Is it?
I think it's
non-offensive
going to be. I
touchdown?
think it's going to be a defensive play that breaks it
I
open.
feel like you're right about that.
I think offense is going to be a little not stagnant, but I don't think they're going to look as good as we
They
want them
got-
to.
They got-
Yeah.
They got
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Right. Defense at home, by the way.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I think it's going to be a defensive play that kind of breaks the levees a little
I can
bit.
see that. Oh, if it's your day, man, he gonna be in that Thump Award
I'm
conversation.
hoping it's a sack
before we-
strip fumble.
Yeah, it's
That's
probably
what I'm
gonna be,
hoping.
a forced fumble. or
I'm
something.
hoping a Trey Morris,
that's
sack
right.
strip,
Yeah, I
fumble,
like that.
something like
They're
that.
not gonna throw it
off
up.
a spin move.
Before we wrap,
He got the full layout of the
Don't
play.
let him be right. We'll never get the end of it.
been playing video games. Well, guys, I want to take the before we wrap. I want to go one more question because I want to hear in your opinion what position group or player is the key to this game for Texas.
Good. That's a good question.
And let's start with you, Oak, because I always put Hills on the spot first.
It's always Quinn, but disregard that. Has to be Quinn. Has to be. Disregard that. For me, I got to go defensive tackles.
Yep.
I think we set the tone this game. In this run defense, like Fozzie says, we carry it with us the rest of the season.
That's a good point. The obvious answer is definitely Quinn. Everybody wants Quinn to do well because he's the quarterback. But I think the key in this game to stopping the run, that's what Michigan does well. To stop the run, you got set edges. You got to set edges. Whoever's the defensive end, if it's 88, if it's 8, if it's 11, if it's 91, whoever it is, you got to set the edge so everybody else can do their job.
Yeah, I'm going O-line just because I think if our O-line takes care of business, this won't even be in doubt, in my opinion.
I'm going offensive line, but more particular and specifically Jake Majors as the center. We talked about Wink Martindale. The thing about what makes him so successful, obviously you got the two guys that's going to be lined up across from him, and he got to handle one of them or both of them at certain times if there's a twist or a stunt that will come up. But whenever you start talking about protecting three, and Jake Majors got to know where to slide the protection to or who to pick up if this guy's not coming and where he got to see the additional blitzer coming from. It's a lot whenever the crowd is loud and you cannot communicate that to all four other linemen.
Yeah.
So Jake Majors, to me, is going to be the most pivotal because he got to communicate where the direction is of the slide or where they got to turn to, and then how he's going to have a battle in his hands full literally every single play.
Yeah. I remember, that's a great point. Remember, you had Jake Majors on, and remember he talked about facing, War Daddy D tackles.
Yep.
Alan ain't gonna talk about what he said he don't like and what he do.
Right.
We're
Ain't going to expose him.
Take that footage down this week.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit. The guys are right. It's definitely Quinn and how Quinn handles pressure. Like I said, Quinn had 2 snaps under pressure against Colorado State. One was the sack, one was a pick.
Wow.
So got to handle pressure a little bit better. I'll go with the coaches, though. Coaching staff, man. This is going to be a Sark. Sark revealed, and this is great, guys. He actually revealed, coaches never do this. He revealed that he had been planning and basically prepping the guys for Michigan during training camp. He said, I put some plays in there. The guys didn't know it, but I put some plays in there for Michigan. Coaches never want to admit that. We
They don't
always
admit
do
it,
that.
right. We know it, but they don't admit it.
Why we working on this?
Yeah.
And then you realize week 3, you're like, oh, that's why we working on
We've
this.
already seen this
Yes.
for 3
So
straight.
Sark admitted, Sark's been putting in a lot of work on this. So I'm going to go with the coaching staff. They hired this guy, Scotty Hazelton. Remember him?
Yeah.
He was a former defensive coordinator for
Oh,
Michigan
yeah.
State.
That's right.
For I think they're like 3 years. So he got a big, thick file on Michigan. That's a rivalry game, man. So
Yeah.
they prep for them in the offseason and during the season.
Right.
I think he's going to play a big role. I think the game plan for Sark, how do you get Quinn in a rhythm when the running game just dries up? Because I think it could. When it dries up, what do you do? Right? I'm sorry, it will. But I think Sark's brilliant enough to be able to have complements to that, right? And have supplements to the running game. So it's going to be a coaching game. And then Johnny Nansen and PK. What do? You just go all in to stop that run and say, my guys on an island, man. Go make money.
Yeah.
Y'all on an island. Go play zero coverage against a subpar QB and a subpar passing game. If you can't hold up, dog, you ain't going to the league anyway.
Don't worry
You
about
ain't got no shot. Don't even worry about it.
I'm a challenge a group that we haven't talked about much today. The DBs.
Hey.
Okay.
I'm a challenge the DBs. And I think they might be the key here because when I look at what could be an evenly played game, I look at those DBs and I say, if y'all erase that passing game, they can't beat us. They can't beat us.
Yeah.
There's no way they're gonna turn around and hand this ball to 7
50 times.
and beat us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how ugly the game can get. I don't know how pretty it'll be. But walking out of this stadium with a win, erase the pass game for them. Erase that passing game, we win this game.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that can. It ain't gonna be no Will Johnson running that way with the ball in his hand. We end every drive in a kick, and we stop that passing game. Texas walks away a winner.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
well,
that's a good point, and I'll add on to that. Specifically the safety room. Like, how do they affect the running game?
Yes,
like
right.
the
Coming
way
down in
Taft
blocks.
looked the last weekend, he
man.
seemed like he ready for the
Taft
job.
got it on his
right?
mind.
Yeah.
That's that new Lambo. That's that new Lambo.
We got the Lambo.
Taft got that Lambo. He out there.
Yeah, a little
man.
different.
Man.
I know you see him with the fade.
Yeah, he got a new fade. He got a fade.
Getting that high and tight and low.
Yeah.
He ain't low no more.
Man, different out there look like
fade.
Harrison Smith.
Did he look like another safety other than the white safety?
that was all he'll had.
That's in the bus. Michael Tapp out here ready to go.
Taft daddy, baby.
Love it. Awesome, guys. Well, I'm looking forward to it. This is gonna be a fun one. We'll be back here after the game with our live show again, just like we did last week. And like I'm finally starting to say, I gotta do my job. If you like what you're hearing, please like, subscribe, follow us, share us, do whatever it is, wherever you listen to, wherever you consume it. We appreciate you. And hook 'em.